alaikum to all the Muslims, and peace be upon you to all the non-Muslims. I want to try, if I can, to give a kind of a brief overview of why I chose to convert to Islam. And it's a little bit hard for me because it's a really long story, but you know, hopefully I'll be able to flesh out some things a little bit more in the future. But just a little bit about my background. I was raised in the Western United States, and I was raised in a very conservative LDS Mormon family. Not conservative in the practice of their religion, but conservative politically. And those things were all very important to me. I was very politically aware, very religiously aware. I defended my religion to people. I would discuss it with other people that were not of my faith. I like to talk about things and ideas. When I was 17, I decided that I really wanted to learn Arabic, and it wasn't for any particular reason. It wasn't because I didn't know any Arabs, I didn't know anything about the Middle East, I didn't know about anything about Islam. I think that I had a Spanish teacher who told us some of the words in Spanish, what their roots were and how they came from Arabic, and a little bit about the fact that the Arabs had occupied Spain, and so I started to become more interested in that, and I went to the bookstore and I bought a book to learn the Arabic alphabet, and I bought a Quran. And I don't know what happened to that Quran. I never read that one, but I know it was like the major work in Arabic, so I wanted to have that. And so I started learning the alphabet about the same time that I was approached by a recruiter from the military. And he told me that I could be a linguist, and I said, can I be an Arabic linguist? I ended up joining the military. That was the first time that I met any Arabs. They were my teachers, and they were incredibly well-educated and articulate people, and I came to love them a great deal. And, I heard there was a woman who was Palestinian who was from Jordan, and I remember one of the first things that I asked her was, what do you guys wear over there? Because she didn't, she dressed like a Westerner, so it just came from a place of kind of complete ignorance, and I was curious, and she kind of looked at me, and she was like, the same things you wear? But, so that was a good experience for me. I ended up getting out of the military just prior to September 11th, and I loved being at the school. I loved learning Arabic. I would go to the library on post and watch Al Jazeera during my lunch times. I loved it so much, but I didn't like being in the military. I hated being in the military. But also, it's important to note at that time, that's when I came to the conclusion that I didn't believe in my religion anymore that I had been raised in. And there were a lot of reasons for that, and I hope to go into that a little bit more in the future. But I came to believe that kind of, you can't prove that God exists, and you can't prove that God doesn't exist, and everyone has to make that decision. It's a very personal kind of decision, and when people would ask me why I didn't believe in God, I would say, I can't tell you why I don't believe in God, because it's from my experiences and what I know about the world and what I know about and what I think about that. And you're not me, so you have to make your own decision. And I respected people, and I still had a lot of LDS friends. But I always respected that was something that was important to them, and I wasn't gonna try to mock them or ridicule them or try to force them to be like me. So when I came home from the military, I met a Lebanese man, and we got married. And during the time that we were married, I was able to travel to Lebanon and spend quite a bit of time with his family. And it was kind of one of the most eye-opening experiences that I've ever had. And I came with a lot of ignorant baggage. By that time, I was really interested in the Middle East. I loved watching documentaries about Israel, Palestine. I loved reading books about Lebanon. I wanted to know the history of Lebanon. I wanted to know everything that there was to know about it. I wanted to know. I was intensely curious about it. So I had come to really kind of take a side, if you will, in that conflict. and but I didn't have much respect for, even though you know, I knew that Israel had done a lot of horrible things um, to the Palestinians and to the Lebanese. I still didn't have that much respect for the Lebanese or the Palestinians and who they were as a culture or anything like that. And so when I went there, that was the first time that I knew practicing Muslims. It was the first time that I saw someone pray. It was the first time I saw someone read the Quran. And I would ask them so many questions. You know, I was so, like, I thought I knew that women were oppressed. I just knew it, and I wanted to know why. Why did they do this way? Why was this like this? And why was this like this? Why did the women do this? Why weren't they allowed to do this? You know, and I saw my mother-in-law, and she was wearing, you know, she wore her scarf, and I just thought, she's so beautiful. You know, I why does she? I didn't want her to do it. I didn't want her to wear it. I wanted her to show everyone her beauty because she was a beautiful woman. And I came to have a different opinion of it as time went on. I loved to watch her put it on because it was so important to her, so clean, so smooth. Like it was a beautiful thing, and it meant a lot to her. It was a big part of her identity. And by the time I came back, I was used to seeing women dress like that. And you know, a lot of women don't wear hijab in Lebanon, but you know, I just got used to seeing women dressed more conservatively, and it was kind of a shock to me, all the skin, when I came home. Not that Lebanese don't do that, because they do, trust me, but anyway. Um, but I told my ex-husband when I came home that I kind of wanted to convert to Islam, or I wanted to know more about it. And he said, no, you don't. It's too hard. And he told me a couple of things. He's like, you have to do this, and you gotta do this. It's so hard, you know? Like, you just don't want to do that. So I kind of just forgot it for the time being. And, you know, after we divorced and I moved to live with my family, that's when the first time that I started to study Islam, and I started to look into it. And I came to realize that it was such a beautiful religion, so full of logic, so full of joy, and it had the balance, you know? It made sense, and it was deeply spiritual as well. And because I had tried to be a moral person, I believed in morality before I was Muslim, but it was extremely difficult for me. I was not a good person. Not because I didn't want to, or because I didn't try, but just because I didn't know how to be. And, you know, I hope I'll talk about it more in the future, but the extent to which I follow the teachings of Islam is the extent to which I'm happy, is the extent to which I have joy. And it's the extent to which I'm a good person. And I don't know if non-Muslims understand that at this point, and I hope to be able to talk about it more in the future, God willing. But I'm out of time here, so assalamu alaikum.